Ryan, the hunger for podcasting is so intense. I don't know if I can restrain myself from podcasting because the hunger.
The hunger it yearns?
I yearn for the podcast.
Well, what a really creepy way to start a podcast, which is appropriate because we are starting spooky season early.
Do it. You know what I want you to do.
It's spooky season. Cue the music.
I get that.
Not the music stuff.
No, not yet. I get that, but 4 times a year and I fucking live for it. Cue the music.
And welcome back to the Comic Lira podcast, where we comically
and literally
review comics. I'm Ryan, also known as Comic Stan. I love comic books, but my co-host like blah, 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 blah.
I love regular books. Yeah. But sometimes Ryan makes me read comic books, and this week he made me read Marvel Zombies.
And with me, as always, my reanimated co-host, it's Jamie.
Hello.
And you might be looking at the calendar when this episode has first come out and gone, but hang on a minute, it's not October yet. It's the 29th of September, I think, is when this comes out.
But fuck off, you pedant.
We are spooking prematurely, which I've been advised is totally normal.
For men of our age.
Exactly. So we're doing it anyway. And also, the Halloween gaff is up in the shops. I don't know about where you live, where you're listening, but here it is.
I mean, I'm already seeing Christmas shit.
Oh, that's awful. At least November 1st, earliest. That should be a law.
Dude, I started seeing Christmas stuff in August this year.
Oh, that's That's probably no, I'm not saying you're lying, but I mean, it's bollocks they did it. But it's probably like reduced shit from the previous January.
Well, I must admit, I actually, I got intrigued. And so I had a look at the date on some of the Christmas food. And some of the Christmas food has a date before Christmas Day. And I'm like, you're selling Christmas food so early, it won't even make it to fucking Christmas.
It depends on the food. Because if it's like, what's it, like sausages wrapped in bacon, it's like, you can have that. Even if it's in a Christmassy box, you can have that.
Yeah.
If it's like, was it mince pies? And you'll be like, what are you doing this at this time of year, you know?
Well, it was like mince pies. And admittedly, the boxes of chocolate would last into the new year and stuff. But yeah, I've started to see the Christmas gubbins.
Yeah, and now we've fallen in the trap of talking about Christmas while we're in spooky season. And again, prematurely, it's fine, it's normal. But spooky season, kicking it off, very well timed, because there was a Marvel MCU, Marvel Zombies series came out. So tying in with that, I thought, what better excuse to read the Marvel Zombies comic, which it's inspired by. Did
it come out recently?
Yeah, it literally came out like a few days before this. When this episode comes out, like a couple days last week or so. Anyway, it was only 4 episodes. It was fun. I've watched it. It's very different from the comic we're reading.
Yeah.
So doesn't bear... If you ask me now, like my thoughts on the comic, I think the comic was better than the Marvel thing they did. Marvel thing was still very cool animated and violent, which was good for MCU to do something like that. But the comic, I think, was better.
Is it a Disney Plus drop?
Yes, Disney Plus. Okay. Yeah,
because I like the comic.
I really like the comic. I had read it quite a few years ago. And reading again, had that thing where I was like, oh, there's a lot of cool little bits that I forgot. So I was like, re-energized my enjoyment of it.
Yeah, the comic was fun.
And for anyone wondering, this is 2005, 2006 original series. Plus we did there's a prequel comic called Marvel Zombies Dead Days.
Yeah.
Which is basically just like, hey, this was as the infection was happening before the kind of main story of it. The other thing that I wondered whether or not to tell you, and wondered generally whether to write out in a message or not, or just tell you now on air, is there is a gap in the story because it starts in the Ultimate Fantastic Four comic that was released at the time. So if there was like a jump between bits where you're like, what happened there?
Yes.
Because it happened in another comic. But again, the point being, if you saw this comic on a shelf and you're like, oh, Marvel Zombies, that's cool, and just picked it up, how would your enjoyment be hindered by not knowing this other information?
I 100% noticed that exact point, and I assumed there was some shenanigans, and I assumed I would get informed, and it was, and I have.
Yeah. Basically, the information is the zombie Reed Richards were like, hey, Reed Richards of Ultimate Universe, like, hey, come over here. And he came over, he's like, we're zombies. And he was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, it's basically
But isn't the Ultimate Universe Reed Richards just the maker?
This is pre-maker. So this was...
And again, so the original Ultimate Universe had a Reed Richards.
Yeah, who went on to become the maker, but of the events of that Ultimate Universe.
Yes, so this is him before he was the maker and he got jumped by his Because is this zombies like 616?
No, this is a other universe.
Because the other thing is, it assumes that I am aware of some stuff that happened in a certain era of Marvel that I was just unaware of. So, like, Captain America being called Colonel America.
So that's the biggest thing to address. But the main thing is...
And he was
this is
president.
All different. Yeah, this is all a different universe.
Okay, so which universe is this in?
Another one. The Marvel Zombies universe. So
right, okay.
Yeah. So,
and is this the only issues of the Marvel Zombie universe?
They did other stuff after this. Apparently they did, I didn't know this, they did Marvel Zombies universe versus Army of Darkness, as in the Evil Dead Army of Darkness,
yeah.
I think. And
that's cool.
I was looking at the reading order, and that literally happens in between the Dead Days prequel and this series. And I was like, oh, fuck, we got to read this as well. And literally in the reading order I saw, it was like, fun little story, never mentioned again. I was like, well, don't worry about that.
Cool.
Then.
So I'm not gonna subject Jamie to that.
And the thing about the Colonel America thing, every time I saw that, and it was so weird seeing it read like that.
Yeah.
It felt like the Rick and Morty jokes. Like, what's different about this universe? They say Parmesan weird. How do they say it? Parmesan. I was like, every time I read it, Colonel America.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
what?
it just made me really. So did he get a promotion at some point?
Maybe. I mean,
what? We don't know.
We don't know. It's a different. The universe started with the zombies. Like, for the readers, that's when it started.
But why?
Why not? What do you mean?
But why Colonel? It made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree. That is weird and disconcerting, but I think it's little things like that which are little reminders of it being a different universe.
I expect you to know the answers to these questions.
Back in 1954,
yes!
he was given the rank of... No, they didn't bother with that. You're worse than the average comic book reader who's like, you didn't explain this. Like, even comic book readers have the alternate universe exemption clause, which is like, it's a different universe. Don't worry about it.
But what? But what? Like, Colonel's like a notable promotion. He went through... Captain America must have been promoted 3 different times to get to Colonel.
I guess he was.
Because it's Major, and then something else, and then Colonel.
Then he did, yeah. That's what happened, presumably.
Presumably.
Yes. I have the same information as you.
I'm not happy about this.
You're not happy that Captain America got promoted?
Not
Are
zombie
you a Captain America hater?
No, I'm on record as being a fan.
I know.
I just want to see him get that. I mean, was it a battlefield commendation? Was there a ceremony?
Maybe. That's the answer we both have right now.
I know, but it's okay.
I think that is the one, again, like the Rick and Morty joke, I think it's the one difference.
Yeah, no, it's the sole difference, isn't it?
Pretty much.
And then, is there anything else unusual happening that I need to query with you before we really start?
No, I think that's the main... Again, and then as the only other thing, I think they wrote it in like the prelude bits at the beginning, completely ancillary information. The way this infection started was a sentry, the character Sentry, from another universe, came to this universe with the infection.
Yeah.
So it is almost like it's a universe, inter-universal spreading zombie infection, basically.
Yes.
So...
also, Pym is here.
Yeah, Hank Pym, and I think I saw Scott Lang in the background at some point, but I think, yeah, Pym was still like one of the main Avengers by this point.
Yeah.
Also a real arsehole, but we will get into that.
Yeah, I mean, but Pym's always a bit of an arsehole, isn't he?
Yeah. But we'll get into that, because that's a pretty interesting, like, fall from grace for a mainline Avenger. So, credits. Notable credit on this one. Who else are you going to get to write the superhero X zombie crossover
Is
series?
old Bobby Kirkman.
It's old Bobby Kirkman. The man's bread and butter is those two
Literally.
things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, but this is this is from 2005, right?
I think so, yeah.
When did he start writing? Is this pre-Walking Dead?
2003. So he was already the zombie guy by the time this started.
But this is pre-Invincible. Surely. Invincible's from like the 20-teens, isn't it?
Invincible's been going for a while. It ran for quite a long time, if I remember. 2003. So his 2 biggest comics started the same year. That's crazy.
He was busy.
And he wrote them alongside each other.
That's a lot of work, isn't it, for one guy?
I mean, how much goes into writing comics? Like, we don't know. We haven't written comics. We just talk shit about them.
We just talk shit about people who do.
Takes far less time than presumably it takes to write.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was doing his good work. So naturally, again, Marvel were like, well, we got zombies, because the Marvel Zombies thing starred in the Ultimate Fantastic Four series.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, they were pretty well received. Should we do a series? It's like, who should we get to write the superhero zombie? Oh, Kirkman, he's free. Like
the guy who's doing, because The Walking Dead was popular from the off, right?
I think it built up. I think it grew over time because it got off it became popular off the back of quality only because it was like it was no title when it started. Like no one knew about it. So I think it one of those like slowly building kind of things. Probably by 2005, people were like, have you seen this Walking Dead comic? Like it was that
So
kind of
it was
level,
at that point that he was sort of a name to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Normally they get then their big break at Marvel or DC and then can do their own stuff.
Yeah.
But he managed to obviously get his foot in the door at Image. The one little tidbit that I'll mention is apparently when he pitched the Walking Dead comic to Image, he was like, I want to do a zombie comic. And they were like, zombies a bit played out, which it was by that point. Like, it was an overdone topic.
We'd already had like
28 Days Later, I think was like the peak of it.
And then like the Day of the Walking Dead and all.
Oh yeah, that'd been going on for decades previously. So yeah. But yeah, he pitched and they were like, we've got a lot of zombie stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, is there anything else to it? And he was like, there is going to be an alien twist, like later on in the series. Like the cause of the thing is going to be like aliens or something.
I think that's how he got around it?
Yeah, I think it's aliens. I might be wrong on that, but it was some sci-fi twist. They were like, all right, cool. That sounds cool. I think he actually pitched, he was like, yeah, it's about like a dad and his son and like their relationship and like humans, the real monster and that kind of stuff. They were like, and they're like, aliens? Like, you're in. And
that's so funny.
And his hope literally was, if this comic is good enough,
if it's popular enough by the time that they're expecting aliens and they don't get them, they'll be all right with it.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a gamble on that part because they were going to you promised us aliens, but it paid off. The other interesting thing is the art is by one Sean Phillips. Now, I know him a bit more. You have read some of his stuff. He is the artist who normally works with Ed Brubaker and did what you remember, Where the Body Was.
Which I like.
Yeah. And more famously, him and Brubaker do the Criminal series and a bunch of other like crime-based comics as well.
I liked Where the Body Was an awful lot, didn't I?
Yeah.
They
also did that. Do you remember that Satanic Panic one? I can't remember the name of it, but
that was okay.
Yeah.
So to start with the arting, the art here is pretty fucking cool.
I really thought. Again, I always mention this with this kind of stuff. I thought it fit the tone of the content perfectly.
So one thing I will say is that I read the prequel first by accident.
Oh, no, I did as well.
And I thought the prequel was more interesting than the rest.
I suppose naturally, like seeing an infection play out from his infancy is going to be more interesting.
I just thought it was a bit more nuanced. I thought it was a more nuanced story, although... So, sorry, we're starting with the arting, and I've already gotten into talking about content.
And I thought... Lord knows we need structure.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. The podcast is built on structure.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time really early on when I was really resistant to structure, and then something happened one day, and I was like, no, structure's great.
You're like one of those like wild dogs that you see on like those videos. It was like when we first found him, he was like growling at us, and he didn't want to come with us or anything.
And shitting in the fucking bath.
And then we left him some food and he slowly got, I was like, and here's him like 2 months later and he's like curled up in dog pajamas and, and he's clean and brushed.
Are you suggesting that I was feral and then you trained me?
Yeah, but that's the story of the podcast.
That's the arc.
Yeah.
I liked the art overwhelmingly. There's some jank face every once in a while. But only when we see human characters, and we see them pretty seldom. Like,
oh yeah, it's mostly zombies.
Probably the worst piece of art in the entire comic. And Peter, for reference, this is like the second page when Peter eats Mary Jane.
Mary Jane Aunt May, yep.
Yeah, Peter looks great. Mary Jane has sex doll face. But then I think this is like a recurrent theme I notice for superhero artists. They're really good at drawing the superheroes because they've practiced drawing Spider-Man a million times as children. And then when you ask them to draw Mary Jane, they're like,
yeah.
Hot ginger lady, never thought to draw that as a child.
Do you think it might be just whatever the focus is of a particular comic? Like this one in particular, I think there was a lot of thought put into how the zombies look. And obviously
not much thought into anything else.
Well, I think it's more like some people like whatever.
No, yeah, and I absolutely think that's what happens, and I think it's a waste. I think everything should look good. That being said, there's not that much of anything else in this comic book, so what we get mostly looks pretty good. And like seeing like all of these sort of pretty jarring zombie versions of your comic book favorites is awfully good fun. Yeah, overwhelmingly, I think it looks pretty good.
I think what's especially interesting is the style. It is the style of the time because it's a very late noughties, early 10s kind of style.
Yeah.
Which you always kind of have like things that came out at that time to remember what the art was at that time. It's very Civil War-esque. Like the Marvel house style at the time was that. But what I also notice is generally darker colors, which again fits the theme. There's a lot of proper like black in like shadows and just a lot of like, again, what would you call that black? It's like as a shade. It's like, it's not like matte black because that's what I always think of. That's like a texture thing.
It's like jet black.
Jet black, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of jet black, which I think again just tonally is a dark comic, and that fits the art supports it as well.
There's only one character model I don't like.
And who's that?
Yes. Have a little guess.
I can name off every character model, the entire.
Well, no, but there's one that looks particularly weird.
They all look weird. They're zombies.
Other than the zombie thing, like there's one of the character models that looks a bit odd.
Right. Zombie character?
Yeah.
Doesn't narrow it down.
Iron Man.
Okay.
The Iron Man suit looks weird as fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's just how it looked at the time.
Is that how Iron Man looked in the 2000s?
Yeah, I think so.
I suppose he was an other-ran character, wasn't he?
So the difference is, and again, talking about it being the type of universe it is, because again, this isn't the main 616 universe.
No.
I think what they were going for here for the character models is very traditional Avengers look for a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
Because like Hawkeye, who we've seen at points, like he's got a real kind of like when he had the H on his forehead kind of look, which I don't think he was doing at this time. I might be wrong, but I think Iron Man, they just went with like a very classic, like you think of the Avengers, you think of this.
It's like the old 1960s bubble suit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it was all kind of just big shapes.
Yeah, and there was like a red torso and then like yellow arms.
Yeah.
And almost looked like
but then
cloth.
The mask kind of protruded and gave him little cat ears. It was all very weird. I didn't like it.
Oh yeah, it looks jarring, which I think.
And then Daredevil's in his classic red skin tight number. That's very old school Daredevil, isn't it? Did you see there's one panel of Deadpool?
Yeah. So I'll talk about Deadpool later. Well, I'll do it now while I remember. But Zombie Deadpool did become his kind of own character off of the back of this.
Did he?
Because he ran into Deadpool, or Deadpool ran into him in this universe or another universe. But basically what happened was Zombie Deadpool got beheaded, and the head somehow got attached to like a hat with a little propeller on the top. So he was flying around. Do you remember Headpool from the Deadpool Wolverine?
Headpool, yeah.
So what happens with these, we'll get into this, but the way the zombies work is if they don't eat for ages, eventually they do become cured of the hunger. Still a zombie, but they stop craving the hunger if they go long enough without eating human flesh. So he stopped becoming like a craving human flesh zombie head and just became like quirky Deadpool zombie head.
Is that how Janet?
I think so, yeah, because I noticed that at the end with the head in the thing.
Janet Pym right at the end.
Yes.
Is she Pym?
Yeah, she's daughter of Hank Pym, yeah. I think so.
I thought she was his wife.
No, sorry, Janet Van Dyne we're thinking
Janet
of.
Van Dyne.
Yes, I'm thinking of the Hope Pym from the Ant-Man films because they went with the second generation, whatever.
Also, Goldman, red sun on face.
Nova, yeah. He's
Nova!
Lesser known character because he hasn't had like a proper MCU thing at all.
Is he just like Superman?
So if you remember from Guardians of the Galaxy, the Nova Corps, they were like the police of the universe. He's like one of them, basically. So he's got a helmet that gives him space powers and stuff.
It's so funny, isn't it? How like some superheroes are just like normal ass people from another place, and then they come to Earth and it's like, I am fucking OP here. I'm staying. This is great.
I think he is from Earth, but he got like recruited into the Nova Corps. So I don't know his backstory, so I might have got that wrong.
Right.
Basically, the Nova Corps are kind of the Marvel Green Lanterns.
It's
like Interstellar Police, and they get a thing, whether it's a ring or a helmet, and it gives them powers. And they're like, you protect this sector, which is Earth, which just so happens to be...
He's got special helmet powers.
Yes, exactly,
nice.
Yeah.
So does Dick Grayson.
No, his is ass powers. That's what he's known for. The best
I thought that was a good joke.
It'd be better if it was a character who actually wore a helmet.
Well, no.
I know you're referring to his penis, but it's maybe like a double
entendre. It was a dick joke, man. Can I not make a dick joke every once in a while?
I thought Dick Grayson was too sacred to mock.
I'm not mocking him.
Sounds like you're making fun of his name. Sounds like. I don't think Richard would be too happy to hear about that.
I made a Dick Grayson dick joke. I thought that was just allowed on this podcast.
I'm going by your rules. I thought you would want to not besmirch the good name of one Nightwing. I thought. People are going to be confused if this their first episode. It's like, did they really like Dick Grayson or something?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't know the half of it.
Right. Comic book.
One other thing art-wise, which I think was good to what we mentioned. I can't remember if it was last week or if it was when we banked an episode with The Dark Knight Returns. We were talking about lack of pupils in art. I think here, just to know, this is a very appropriate use of it, because you do see with zombie films in the past, they get the pupil doesn't disappear, but the eyes get so cloudy that from a distance you can't see the pupil.
I thought the pupil game here was strong. The lack of pupils was a good creative choice.
But then in some, you see people with a helmet or a cowl or something, and again, just the normal standard, no pupils. Pupils are gone.
But I mean, for the most part, this comic book looked fantastic.
Yeah. Very interesting to what, like, you're always looking in the background because it's an ensemble piece, so you're always looking in the background and be like, what's going on in the background there? Like, who's eating someone, you know?
Absolutely. And I really like the way that they go through these kind of minor-ish physical changes in the prequel, and then when you really get into it, you start like
it's full zombie.
Yeah, and I suppose we're just kind of talking about it now, aren't we?
We're into story, and you know, spoilers if you haven't read it, but like, again, comic from 20 years ago. Give it a read. If we recommend it, give it a read if you're
well worth it. Yeah. I thought this was a really fun, engaging adventure comic, and what's the most interesting about it to me is through the main story, for the most part, you follow the zombies.
Yeah, they're basically the protagonists of the story.
You are following this roving band of zombies as they bicker and eat things, but they are also... So the way they've organized this is that when the hunger consumes them, they lose their humanity.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, they are aware that they are zombies, and they're just kind of cracking on and being zombies.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they satisfy the hunger urge, and they're back to normal for a bit, which is especially depressing when you think about it, because then they have to reconcile with what they've done. The running joke here being Spider-Man constantly crying about the fact that he ate MJ and Aunt May.
Yeah.
Which, if you read from the prequel, it's just dark, because it's like, that's how it starts, and you're like, you know, it's such a striking thing. Peter Parker attacking and killing MJ and Aunt May.
But it becomes a joke.
Yeah, and that's so if you start how it was published, it's then a funny reference to a joke. It's like, oh, MJ, and it's just like, and the others always like, shut up. Like, we're all dealing with this.
Because they all ate Jarvis together, didn't they?
Yeah, the Avengers.
Yeah, so Jarvis.
I think we've had a discussion before. So for MCU like film fans, will be surprised to learn that Jarvis in the comics was a actual human butler who worked for the Avengers, like an actual human who wore a butler outfit.
Yes.
He was the Avengers Alfred, essentially.
Yes. And that was just, again, very confusing for a moment, because one thing that we've not consumed a lot of
is human flesh.
Well, you know.
Not a lot.
A little.
Yeah.
Is Avengers.
You got to try it first.
Avengers comics. We don't read Avengers comics, because to be honest with you, the Avengers was sort of another ran property for Marvel, which is why they had it. The only reason they had the rights to it is because there wasn't good Avengers shit coming out in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Well, just no one gave a shit about it.
Yeah, and so, like, there hasn't really been anything exciting happening in the Avengers comics, has there?
So there's been exciting things, but the problem is it's the most exciting stuff that's happened with the Avengers, in my opinion. Maybe others will disagree.
Civil War?
Well, Civil War, it's always crossover stuff with other ones. So it's like there was like Avengers vs. X-Men for a while. Like that was a big one. That was all about like the Phoenix Force and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's how they cross over with others. There's very rarely, I don't think there's like consensus like great Avengers stories. Which, and speaking as a Marvel fanboy, for me to say this, there's better Justice League stories than there are Avengers stories. Like Justice League stories, there's ones about the crime syndicate from another dimension. There's the ones where the white Martians turn up and pretend to be superheroes, and then they kill, like, no, don't kill. They incapacitate the rest of Justice League except for Batman. And then they're like, he's the only non-superpowered. Like, why do we give a shit? And Superman has to be like Batman's the most dangerous human on Earth.
You
are
really
fucked.
shouldn't have. You really should have dealt with him first, guys.
And then there's a story which I think we should do at some point I think it's called the Tower of Babel. I might get that wrong, but basically it's where
the Tower. Do you mean the Tower of Babel?
Babel. I've only seen it written, so I don't know. It's a Bible thing, isn't it?
It is biblical, yes.
Yeah. So Tower of Babel. What is Victor Savage, I think his name is. He breaks into the Batcave and steals Batman's contingency plans for handling the rest of the Justice League if they turn evil.
Yeah.
So he uses Batman's plans to take out the Justice League.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Justice League, like, so you got all these plans on us? Like, what the hell? And Batman's like, yeah, obviously. Like, you're the most powerful group in the world. Like,
do you not have them for me?
well, no, that someone says, like, so what about you? Like, what's the contingency plan if you go evil? And he's like, it's called the Justice League. And they're like, he's got us there, but I don't like it.
It's like, you guys are what I'm counting on you guys to deal with that.
But then, and then they're like, I don't think we should have Batman and Justice League anymore. We should take a vote. And Batman's like, save you the trouble, I quit. Like, if you think I'm stupid for this, like, you're stupid. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But then on his way out, Superman, because part of the plan involves a kryptonite bullet.
Yeah.
And before he goes, Superman's like, hey, before you go, I think that's when they'll conversate, like, what about if you turn evil? It's like, it's called the Justice League. And Superman's like, that's what I want to hear. I think you should hold this, and gives him the kryptonite bullet. So Superman's like, I agree with what you did. I didn't agree that you kept it secret, but I understand why you did it.
I
and
should hold on to this.
So again, point being, what I'm referring back to, I remember that Justice League story.
Yeah.
I can't name any like prime Avenger stories
No.
that weren't just big crossover events like Civil War or X-Men or,
Yeah, so seeing like deep cut references to Avengers stuff, it's just like you're referencing something I don't really know, because all of my Avengers knowledge comes from the MCU for the most part.
And then
And that's speaking as somebody who reads quite a lot of comics.
yeah, I mean, more than the average person.
I reckon I read more comics than the average comic book fan.
There's a running joke in one of the comic book circle jerk subreddits where the running joke is someone's like, none of us read the comic books. Like, people talk about the character, like, I prefer this character. It's like, oh, which comics did you like them in? And they're like,
yeah,
like
they
a lot
don't
of people
actually
haven't.
read the comics.
So yeah, maybe we read more than the average here. Write in if you think we're full of it or we're posers and you think you read more comics than us at comiclyra@gmail.com.
Yeah, just fucking let us know.
Yeah, I think what was interesting, the main thing that I took away from this and like the little interesting bits I liked, again, is how they develop this zombie virus specifically. Like we were just saying, they go X amount of time without human flesh and they start to become themselves again. But it's also little things like the tiniest little thing that I just thought was attention to detail, which Kirkman is known for. So it'd be more shocking if he didn't do stuff like this. It's a bit in the prequel where Nick Fury is talking to a bunch of the survivors and he says at one point, we think it might be only the metahumans that are infected. But the reason we think that is because it's the metahumans, zombies that are, thriving, and it's not normal people, which tend to just get eaten very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why it might be like a skewed results of why we're seeing it this way.
I think the thing I enjoyed most about this is that it's the first time I've ever seen a zombie flick or a piece of zombie content where you follow the zombies.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I thought that was a really interesting twist, because I remember sort of in my head when I was thinking about, when I knew we were reading this and I saw the cover and I was like, oh, we're going to be following a subset of heroes and probably with some bad guys thrown in who are unlikely allies as they try and avoid these superpowered zombies. What we got to follow this roving band of superpowered zombies as they all sort of a big conversation point was them trying to getting to grips with how their bodies were changing and the decomposition. There was a really interesting point when Banner or
Bruce Banner,
Hulk turns back into Banner with a full stomach, and so his stomach,
he's eating a lot of stuff and it doesn't shrink with the transformation.
He ate Magneto's entire leg, and so suddenly Magneto's leg just appears out of Banner's stomach, and he's like, right, so I felt my stomach disconnect as I turned from Hulk to Banner, so we're not digesting any of this. And at the end, they realize if they cut into themselves, they can just keep eating the same undigested piece of flesh.
And it is like a almost mental thing. So they're not actually satiating anything because their body's decaying, but some mental part of the infection just recognizes if you eat human flesh, it like ticks the box and you be normal minded for a bit.
And yeah, and I've never seen a zombie. I've never seen that. I think they came up with a really interesting way for the zombie concept to work, so that we got to have familiar superheroes as zombies, but have them remain as familiar superheroes. And I just thought that was incredibly good fun.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of this stuff was stuff that Kirkman was either thinking or put in place for The Walking Dead, but there was no points in that comic where they would address it because the zombies aren't talking about how they're feeling? So maybe he had all this stuff like in his mind, like the world of The Walking Dead, how those zombies work, and now he's doing this one, and he's well, they can comment on like these ideas I've had but not been able to actually articulate before.
I mean, I certainly think that it's interesting that he had, put all of the time. I certainly think it's interesting that he had put all the time and effort into creating what is now essentially the seminal piece of zombie content.
Yeah, I mean, especially now with the TV shows, like mainstream, yeah.
And then he had some fresh and interesting ideas for how to invigorate that genre. I don't necessarily think these are like cutting room floor ideas he had for The Walking Dead. But I definitely think that while he was sat there working out The Walking Dead, he had this idea and was like, oh, that wouldn't work for a zombie flick. And then he got the opportunity to do a Marvel zombie flick, and he was like, this is the hole for that.
Yeah, what would be fun? I think the main thing he realized was if you turn them all to zombies, and it was established they speak in the Fantastic Four introduction, but at this point it's like, there's no fun in turning them into zombies and then just not having them, like, they use their powers a bit, but that's like it or whatever. There's way more to be mined from like, what if their personality but zombified?
Yeah. And
you could still speak to them and understand them and stuff. And I think it just worked out far better.
Well, yeah, I mean, because some of them like get to be as unhinged as they've always wanted to be.
Yeah, well, some characters go crazy before they even get infected, or like just after.
Yeah, Pym is we need to talk about Pym, don't we?
So the funny thing about Pym is he really has like fallen from the heights as a character, both like in the content and in real life.
So was he an Avenger?
Yeah, he was a founding Avenger. He was like one of the main ones in like the maybe not the first issue, because the first issue I think is just no, I think he was first issue. I'm thinking of first story was like Loki tricking the Hulk into like doing something, and then you had Iron Man, Thor, must be giant Ant-Man as well, I presume. And is Iron Man a founding Avenger? Yeah. I didn't realize he was a founding member. Yeah. Founding. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to do this off memory.
Cap?
No, because part of their first story was finding him in the ice. So he was like issue like 5 or something. So you could say founding, like he was close enough, but he wasn't like
Should we read that first Avengers story at some point?
Yeah, we should do that at some point. We could do like the first couple of issues and hopefully get to the point where they unearth Cap potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a founding Avenger. And then over the years, I think people were just kind of a bit like, because there's no Ant-Man characters that are that big now. Like the biggest now is Scott Lang, just because they used him for the MCU.
Yeah.
But also what didn't help was there was a particular storyline where when it was no longer societally accepted that he hit Janet Van Dyne, Wasp.
Because, wasn't it written into him quite early that he knocked her about?
I think it was.
Knocked her about is an awfully old-fashioned and euphemistic way of talking about domestic violence.
Yeah. I think I'm like, what's the old fucking, the honeymoon is the one trip of bam, straight to the moon, like that kind of talk.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I knew about this.
So it happened in 1981. So yeah, at a time where if it had happened like decades prior, might not have been like noticed as much, but I think by the 80s.
That shit still happens now. That shit happened a lot in the 80s, but it wasn't.
Oh yeah, it's not gone away. But in terms of like public,
socially acceptable. Yeah, this is the thing. In the 1950s, it was socially acceptable. By the 1980s, I would argue it probably wasn't socially acceptable anymore.
Yeah, and I think that followed him because it was one of those things where it was like happened in the main story. Like you can't say it was a different character, a different time, or he was evil at the time or anything like that. So I think that I don't think that's the main reason that he fell from popularity. it became a running joke that people would constantly mention it.
It doesn't help though, does it?
No, exactly.
Who thought it was a good idea to write that in?
Well, again, like writers in the 80s were like
On coke.
Well, that especially, but
they were let's be frank here, they were just banging in a bunch of Colombian marching powder.
yeah. So they probably weren't thinking too clear about how things would be perceived by the wider normal society. But yes, from that, he just became less and less popular. And then like they were like, well, we like the power set. Let's introduce a new Ant-Man. And that's when Scott Lang came about. And also the third incarnation, I can't remember his name, but he was basically like a bad guy Ant-Man. That was like the point where they were like, let's just make it was called Irredeemable Ant-Man, I think, but it was just a guy, I can't remember his name, but he was just like an asshole who had the Pym technology,
right?
And to the point where one of the things he did was like literally snuck into the showers of the Shield base or some wherever and watched women taking showers, like using the shrinking technology for that. So the fact that they were doing that stuff with that, not that character, not arc, what I mean? That character of Ant-Man, regardless of who's wearing the mantle, they were just like, who cares? Like, let's just make him irredeemable at this point. So I think they went a long way with getting Scott Lang like back with the MCU to be like, there is a good one. Like, and he's all right.
If you think about it, the MCU were really good at finding actors who weren't massively famous and putting them in these big leading roles.
They were at the start. I think it got to a point where they were like, they had to be like, oh, let's get more famous people.
This is what I'm saying. Paul Rudd was one of the biggest names they'd thrown at the front of a Marvel movie. I mean, Paul Rudd was in fucking Friends. Like, Paul Rudd is
household name.
Yeah, he was a proper, legitimate Hollywood star, right? Like Chris Evans, you could argue, there's an argument for Chris Evans being quite famous.
He was a known actor, and he'd been obviously in the Fantastic Four, but I think that was the biggest thing he'd done by that point.
He'd done some stuff.
Yeah.
The same could kind of be said for Mark Ruffalo. Like, Mark Ruffalo was just starting to get like conventional leading man roles.
Yeah, known actor again.
Known actor. I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple films from the noughties with him as the lead, right? But like Chris Pratt wasn't.
Chris Pratt was known for Parks and Recreations,
but Parks and Recreations is like a cult thing at the time.
Yeah,
Parks and Recs wasn't a huge smash. It is wildly popular now, but at the time he was the chubby the chubby kind of ex-boyfriend of a main character who was a bit part. If anything, if you were actually going to pick an actor out of Parks and Recs to say who's going to be huge, it would have been Aziz Ansari.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think definitely going from supporting actor in sitcom to leading man in a Marvel film was a huge leap.
That's huge.
But I think also he's kind of the crossing over point, because after that, it then became like Benedict Cumberbatch for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Who else was cast around that time? Like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. Like that was the point where they were like, all right, big names from now on.
And then the guy from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. You always refer to him as Lily Allen's ex-boyfriend who cheated on her or something. Yeah,
fucking dickhead. Yeah, this is why I used to really like the guy, then he cheated on Lily Allen.
But you're not taking it personally.
No, but he was quite big after Stranger Things, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, huge. Like Stranger Things was huge, yeah.
But I think of that casting, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, they threw a huge actor at a small role. I suppose...
Small role, eh?
Well, I mean, I suppose it wasn't a small role. It was a headlining Marvel film. But the point is, it was kind of an other-ran character, wasn't it?
The funny thing was, and like this is well encapsulated by Paul Rudd when he was talking about the casting or getting the role. Apparently he said to his kids, like, I'm going to be in an MCU film. And they're like, oh my God, who are you going to play? He was like, Ant-Man. They were like, who?
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of, like, even though it was a leading name, it was the lead of a movie, people were still like, Ant-Man, like he's getting his own film, like. And again, to show you, Hank Pym, founding member of the Avengers, people loved, like, oh my God, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk. Like, even though they hadn't been in films, people still knew who those characters were.
Yeah.
No one was like, where's Ant-Man?
No, and then Hank Pym was essentially the antagonist for a bit. Didn't Hank Pym have a sort of antagonist role in the Ant-Man film?
No, he was like the mentor, like older mentor kind of character. He was played by God, what's his name? Michael Douglas?
I thought it turned out he was the bad guy.
Nah. Have you seen that in Man films?
Yeah.
He definitely wasn't the bad guy. There was another guy who became Yellow Jacket. Darren Cross, I think the character's name was.
Right, I must just be confusing it in my head.
Probably, yeah.
Clearly.
But yeah, no, he was just like the old mentor characters, like, I developed the Pym particles and all that. To show you how much they didn't want to use Hank Pym character, they, or at least as a leading guy, they did Age of Ultron as the second Avengers film. Ultron in the comics is created by Hank Pym. So they were like, fuck it, Iron Man made him now. Like, that's how bad they were. Like, we don't want to use Hank Pym. We
don't want to touch that with a barge pole.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, Hank Pym here is, oh my God, he's awful. Yeah. So he takes Black Panther, ties him up, and this is as soon as he gets Z'd up.
Yeah, no, well, this is the thing. He's infected, but he's not turned yet. So he got bitten and immediately worked out, or had worked out before being bitten, like, they seem to regain themselves once they've eaten. So as soon as he gets bit, he's like, I need to secure a human down to feed off when I turn into a zombie.
And then he keeps him hidden and is just taking little chunks off him as and when he needs them without telling anyone.
And keeping him alive while doing it. Like, that is dark. And so dark that if you read this as they released, the original series, like that reveal, because a zombie Hank Pym is like, I'm going to go away for a bit. Like, I'll catch up with you guys. Like the other zombies, I'll catch up with you guys later.
I need to go find my wife.
Yeah. And sneaks away, opens this bunker, and there's T'Challa. T'Challa. I always get confused, T'Challa and T'Chaka. T'Chaka's his dad. Just lying unconscious, already missing an arm.
Yeah.
And Hank Pym's like, sorry about this. Like,
they're friends. They're buddies. Oh, it's awful.
And like Black Panther's like begging him to kill him, and Pym's like, sorry, buddy, I need you alive to keep the meat fresh, essentially. But yeah, just the quickness when everything goes wrong. He's like, better eat someone alive. Like, I'm not even a zombie yet, and I'm already preparing for it.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of interesting and there's a lot of fun exchanges between them. There's not a whole lot of plot until you get to.
I would say, should I mention my funnest exchange?
Go on.
Before?
Yeah, go do that.
When they eat Magneto, and then someone's got to tell Iron Man, like, he's not here. And then Iron Man turns up. They're like, what happened to Magneto? It's like, he got vaporized by a laser, and he just vaporized, and he was all, and there was nothing to eat over. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, why is Spider-Man crying in the corner?
Well, no, he specifically makes Spider-Man cry.
Yeah.
And then he points out the leg poking out of Banner's stomach.
And he just worked, like, and what's funny, even the zombie level, he's the smartest zombie, or he's one of the smartest zombies. It's all shrunk, it's all scaled down because they're zombies, but he's still the smartest of them. And then I just love, they're like, yeah, we ate him. And I'm just like, I would have probably done the same if I were you. Like, we're all in the same boat here. Like, I get it. So I'm not that mad, but I am mad.
And then appears...
Yes. Silver Surfer.
The Herald of Galactus.
Yeah.
And again, Galactus is here.
The difference, what we just presume and infer with this universe, is that the Galactus shit hasn't happened yet. It's only now happening because it hasn't happened in the past, like would have in the mainline Marvel universe.
Well, it was interesting because I saw the Silver Surfer turn up and I was like, is he in the Fantastic Four at this point? Or is he, and then he opens his mouth and he starts heralding for Galactus, and it's like, right, here's the Herald of Galactus.
He's bloody heralding again.
And it's sort of, as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, one of a few things is going to happen here. Either Galactus is finally actually going to be successful in eating the Earth and they all get a noble death. Because a lot of them, some of them are getting to the point where they would just like to die.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man is certainly getting to the point where he's like...
When he's not jonesing, he would take death.
He would take death. As would Banner, I think, at this point. And so there's a few of them that want to die. So I'm like, maybe they'll get that. Or is Galactus finally going to find somebody as hungry as him to take over?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's a thing in the Marvel, because they obviously use that for the Fantastic Four film.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been a thing in the Marvel one, because he's more of a set in, like, part of nature, part of the universe kind of thing. So he's like, I'm the only one this is what I am now kind of thing.
Ultimately, they take down Galactus and replace him.
Yeah. And
so they become they become the consumers of worlds.
Yeah, literally traveling to worlds. Like, that's crazy to think about that as an outcome of a Marvel universe. It's like, what about zombified superheroes and they travel to each world and just eat the fuck out of everyone?
Yeah.
Probably eating more than Galactus. I think they're probably a worse hunger than Galactus did.
Well, and this is the thing, isn't it? I think it's a really elegant solution, and what you get is, you know, the superhero jump where they're like arms spread, legs bent, crotch forward. You get to see all of them landing on a world,
just an innocent alien planet where some kid's getting tucked into bed.
Oh man, some kid's getting tucked into bed, and his mum's like, "Galactus is here." Oh, is that bad? Yes, it's very bad.
It's worse than Galactus.
I honestly think
what would you rather, Galactus or zombified?
Well, this is what I was about
Avengers?
to say. Because Galactus consumes it all at once, and it seems pretty painless.
Yeah, I think the world just deteriorates once he's like sucked out the innards. And then it just crumbles, and then you die.
Whereas this is like locusts.
Flesh-eating locusts.
Yeah, it's like flesh-eating locusts that like gradually just rove around the planet until there's nothing left.
And if you don't die immediately and survive somehow, like for whatever time,
you become one of them.
Well, that, or you, at the very least, you have to hear Spider-Man whining about how kill me now, Jesus.
And I just thought that was such a great ending, because it really elegantly wraps it up without having to conclude it.
Oh yeah, it's just this bad now, like, and they also have this other aspect. So somehow, and I say so, we know how it happens, but it's like somehow Black Panther escapes,
yes,
because of Janet Van Dyne, who eventually becomes the head. Yeah. But there's a funny little interaction where she discovers that Pym's got Black Panther. She's like, give me some. And Pym's like, no, I need him. Like, I'm trying to work on stuff and cure us or whatever. And she's like, if you don't, I'll hurt you. And he's like, none of us feel pain. Like, that's nothing. Like, that doesn't matter. And then presumably, I think in this, hits her head off her body.
No, do you not see what he does?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
He goes big.
Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Grabs her, bites her head off, and then it tastes disgusting, so he spits it out.
Yes. So then Black Panther manages to get free, or the sedation wears off, because I think Pym was interrupted. And he's just like hobbling without a foot and one of his like elbow down arms gone. And then we get where this all kind of started from with the asteroid M that Magneto is from. Those mutants come down to Earth being like, this is fucked. Like, this sucks down here. And seeing Black Panther be like, it's a zombie. And Black Panther be like, I know I look it, but I'm not. Trust me.
And he joins them. And eventually we see them return to Earth.
Like 5 years later.
Yeah. Janet is now a cyborg with
head in a jar on a robot.
Head in a jar on a robot, and T'Challa has like all of his limbs like cybernetically reattached.
Yeah, they had all Forge, who his mutant power is he just understands technology, so he can like build anything, and he's already got like a metal leg, so robot leg. So he's like, I'll make a robot leg and a robot arm.
Sort you. Yeah, I can sort you out, brother.
Yeah.
And so we see them, and so it's kind of implied that they're here to like save the day, I suppose.
I mean, so
no, because they arrive and everyone's gone.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's either the zombies that were there have deteriorated enough, and the ones that are left with the Galactus powers are gone. Yeah. So they're like, actually, it's fine now. Like we've waited it out.
Yeah, we
went to Asteroid M, had a nice pint, and wait for the whole thing to blow over.
Nice.
Good reference.
That's a great reference.
For 5 years. But yeah, and that's interesting in itself then, because other stuff can happen with those characters if you which maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Maybe we'll come back to this, maybe not.
Yeah.
But the other fun points that, again, just little points which I thought were funny in themselves. Attention to detail, talking about, because again, when they're talking about their bodies and how they work, and like Captain America's be like, they're like, well, maybe the brain stays intact, and that's what we are doing. And Captain America be like, I can confirm that's not, because my head is in half.
Magneto, because the fight scene with Magneto is really cool, because he starts manipulating the shield.
Oh yeah, anything with metal, he's just like firing at them.
So, and he starts shooting Cap's shield around.
Yeah.
and he ends up lopping the top of Cap's head and half his brain off.
Yeah, and Captain America's just holding his brains like, yeah, I don't think it's the brains being intact that is keeping us going here.
And one of them's like, their heart's not beating anymore. And he's
Yeah,
like, well, my heart's not going anymore.
But then, again, attention to detail.
He can hear it.
No, not just that. It's that his legs are pooling up with the blood.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, because the blood's in your legs. It's not going anywhere else. So it's just pooling up in your... And he's like, could someone like prick me with something? So
He's like, I need to drain it out. And they're like, well, not while I'm here.
Yeah.
It's... And this is the thing. Like, we've talked about it in broad strokes. I don't think this comic book has a lot to say.
Oh, God. It is horror fun, essentially.
But there is so many fun little details like that. Like, we could go on all night.
And we will.
Recounting fun moments, but I don't think that's particularly interesting for you, the listener. What it is to say is that Robert Kirkman has managed to make a fun action adventure comic with a little bit of richness built into it just by the way he presents the world to us.
Yeah. Also, the bit where Wolverine's skeleton is coming apart.
Yes.
Because his decaying zombie body can't handle the adamantium bones.
So he's losing claws, isn't he?
And he specifically mentions, he's like, I wish the ligaments in between my bones weren't decaying. Because it's all well and good when you got metal bones and a healthy healing factor body to support them. But as soon as that, he literally tries to hit someone with his claws and they just come out of his arm and he just looks like, nuts. That ain't good.
Like, that's not getting better, is it? And this is the thing. There's so many funny little moments like that, but it's all based around a strong core concept, and it is essentially a fun comedy action adventure comic.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think Kirkman at this point, he's doing the deep, like, emotional zombie story in The Walking Dead. So when he gets this, he's like, oh, bloody Captain America gets head lopped off by his own shield. Like,
I definitely, like, I'm amazed that that we hadn't talked about this on the podcast before. B, that I hadn't considered that this would be a thing, because it's such an obvious... Once you read it and you see it, it's such an obvious idea.
How did they not do this before?
It's such an obvious idea, and it's like, it's actually quite outstanding.
Yeah.
In terms of like, what comic books are. Comic books can be so many different things these days. And I think so often I have this expectation that everything has a level of richness that not everything needs to have. And then I get something like this and I'm like, it's just real good fun.
Yeah. I think, like, what we had before, where it's just like the DC crossover, Batman, Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was just like, it's just fun, and they're playing with the concepts of the characters and how they intermingle and stuff.
That Supergirl pitched at kids.
But then even, I was thinking that, and I was almost going to make that a point, but I think even that Supergirl comic did have, like, a bit of messaging. Like,
it did. No, it had a lot
of stuff.
I suppose this is the thing. It had a lot of allegorical messaging.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
No, there's no message to be taken from this other than don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Don't get Z'd up.
Yeah. Also, Reed Richards goes mental before anything.
Yeah, I mean, so what Ryan's referencing here is that Reed Richards makes a conscious decision to see himself up because he's studying one of the zombies and...
The bloody zombies.
He's studying one of the zombies and he essentially says, well, they don't need to metabolize anymore. And so I think this is actually the next step in human evolution. And he calls the family round to meet with him and he explains this and they're like, we're not doing it. And he's like, already did.
Yeah, already infected, yeah.
but the thing as a zombie is terrifying, right?
Yeah. But he's like, but I'll let you eat me, like, infect me the natural way, because I want to feel how it goes.
No, that's fucking creepy, though, isn't it?
It just lends credence to a theory. I don't know if this is a wider theory that it already exists, or if I'm, like, having this... No, they do it in the comics. It's an established thing. The fact that all the other Reed Richards in the multiverse seem to be assholes, and it's just the 6161. He's like the most wholesome and the nicest.
Yeah, he's the only one who's not an absolute knobhead.
Yeah, because you got the League of Reeds in the 616 universe, or like adjacent to, and they're all like, forgo your family and just dedicate yourself to like solving the world or whatever. And then you've got the Maker, who's like one of the biggest bads of the entire multiverse at this stage. And it just seems to be the one Reed Richards like, actually, I love my family, and I think I'll divide my time between science and being a dad and a husband.
Because he'd just seen his daughter die.
Yeah, attacked by zombies. It was She-Hulk, who is a former Fantastic Four member. And that's why they made the reference, like, she knew the codes, that's how she got in.
Wait, the She-Hulk was in the Fantastic Four?
Yeah. So there was a point, there have been various points where, like, they all haven't been doing it and they need an entire lineup replacement, or they've individually been out of commission for various reasons and they've had people replace them. Others include Spider-Man, Wolverine. One of the weirdest ones, Ghost Rider, was a Fantastic Four member, I think, at one point. And
but who is normally not there?
Oh, it's various.
Because you need Reed and Sue Storm.
Yeah, it's most of, like, 90% of the time, it's the core lineup. But just occasionally they'll just mix some other character will be popular and they'll be like, throw Spider-Man in there for a bit, or throw Wolverine in there for a bit.
Well, and they're just like, Johnny Storm, fuck off for a bit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's retired, he's lost his powers maybe, or he's trapped in another dimension, or we think he's dead, or, all that kind of stuff.
Chasing a hot female Silver Surfer, he's doing whatever.
But so you've got, like, core lineup, which is the family, like Fantastic Four, and then it's just like this subgroup of, like, sub-ins, or what they call them in theatre, the backup.
The understudies.
Understudies, yeah. So it's like, if one of the main four is like, right, Wolverine, come on, step up. You're taking the Thing's place.
It just, the idea of seeing Wolverine in a Fantastic Four unitard.
I'll see if I can find, if that's what you want, hang on.
Well, yeah, but not while we're, like, live on air recording.
I mean, I've just Google searched, you can see a bunch of them. But it is funny. I mean, one of the funniest was just a person wearing, like, a Thing costume who apparently had, like, the Thing powers or something. That's funny. Oh, this is the best picture. That's, like, Wolverine and I think so. Wolverine, Spider-Man, and the kids, Franklin and Valeria.
Yeah,
were just a team at one point.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man, one of his first appearances was in, like, I can't remember off the top of it. There's a classic cover where he's, like, in, like, a glass tube or something in the Fantastic Four, like, oh my god. I think it was, like, one of the maybe earliest crossovers of characters.
Right.
Because Fantastic Four and Spider-Man were both big in the 60s, and they're like, what if they met each other?
And they're both from New York.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah. Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, he's a bastard in most dimensions, apparently.
Yes.
And just likes to infect other people. What's interesting is, speaking about, you said, it's funny they hadn't done this up until, like, it's funny we haven't done this before. What's really surprising is DC didn't do their version of it until, like a decade and a half later.
Oh, really?
And you would think that they would see this, go, oh, shit, we need to get something now.
Yeah.
Surprising restraint on DC's part to be like, let's not copy Marvel. And I'm not saying DC copy Marvel, I'm saying they copy each other.
Constantly. They are constantly, at every juncture, they are looking over each other's shoulders.
Exactly. So I think it's funny that this was the one time DC were like, actually,
we're above this.
That's been very successful for them. Let them have it. We'll come to it down the line.
Let's make absolute fucking Batman.
Yeah. Well, around this similar time. But they did, they called theirs, good name, they called it DCeased.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's actually, I'm developing a newfound appreciation for a pun.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's better. You would think. I think most people expected zombie DC or DC zombies or something like that.
Yeah.
So when they came with DCs, everyone's like, "Oh, that's really good. That's actually quite good." And you know what? I read DCeased, and I was fully expecting like, "Oh, they've done Marvel zombies, like their version of it finally." Theirs was actually a anti-life equation, which is a dark side thing, mixing with technology of cyborg, I think, and it became a transmitted through technology. So it's everyone with phones just got hit by and became this web.
Very Black Mirror.
Yeah, and the one part I remember, it was a good comic. The one part I remember off the top of my head is that very early on, Batman gets infected. Nice. And everyone's like, he gets infected in his cave, and everyone's like, he's talks to people on radio, and they're like, Batman, like, what's happening? Are you fine or whatever? And he's like, I'm here. I have been infected, but I've got an old version of Mr. Freeze's suit, and I've put it on because the cold slows down the virus.
Right.
He's like, I ain't got long, but I've held it off enough to say goodbye. So he's wearing Freeze's suit, and he's saying goodbye to the Bat family and, Dick and Damian and stuff. And he's like, Damian, you've got to take up the mantle. Like, world needs a Batman. And Damian
surely Dick Grayson would be Batman.
Dick Grayson rejects Batman. That's part of the whole thing.
Yeah, Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman.
He wants to be his own guy. He literally says, like, being Batman looks awful. Like, to have, I want to fight crime. I don't want to dedicate my entire life to it. I don't want to be the sole thing driving me. Like, I want to help people, but I also want to live a life.
Oh yeah, he wants to help people, but he also wants to sling some dick every once in a while, you know?
And Batman, he rarely does that. Like,
man, we've had Dick Grayson's come up twice in this episode.
Yeah, I wonder why. Like, someone... This is why when we were doing...
Ryan, you brought him up the second time. This second one had nothing to do with me.
I'm just talking about DC stuff, and Dick Grayson is going to come up inevitably.
No, Dick Grayson's like a lesser known cat. I would imagine most casual comic book fans probably wouldn't know Dick Grayson. They might know Nightwing.
Oh, they'll know Robin. They might not know his actual name.
Yeah, they'll know who Robin is, but they won't know that he's Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or...
Yeah, probably not.
How the fuck do I know this shit?
Doing this.
Yeah, no.
But what's interesting is, we've banked an episode to be released in the future, where we do finally The Dark Knight Returns.
And we've referenced it a bunch.
But in that, I had wanted to be like, oh, you know what's interesting is when he's like close to dying, like in his head, he's who he's talking to, and you're like, who is he talking to? It's like Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Like, how am I the one bringing this up? Like, I thought you were going to be the one to like. So a little sneak preview for when that banked episode comes out in November or December, whenever it is. So I think my last note is just great ending. We've covered it.
Fantastic.
It's a fun ending. And zombie stuff is fun. It's always fun. It was a genre that needed revitalizing, and Kirkman had already started that process by the time he got to this.
So, really, give it a read during this spooky season.
I might have asked you this on a previous episode, but have you got any favorite like zombie, like excluding Walking Dead comic, which is another comic we need to do at some point? Any zombie franchise or piece of media that you're a fan of?
I really like Zombieland.
Zombieland is fun.
But I really like Jesse Eisenberg, and I really, really like Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson seems your speed.
Woody Harrelson's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen True Detective, right?
Yeah,
Last season?
dude,
Yeah.
Your recommendation.
Yes.
I watched it. What? You were like, oh, did you know Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are in like, what, a 90s detective show together? Or is it?
It spans decades.
Decades.
I think it starts in the 90s.
Yeah. But was it made in the... I think it was made in...
It was made like 5 years ago or something. Like within the last 10 years.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It looks old because it's set in the past.
Oh, they just look so young. Anyway.
They were younged up for the younger part.
So you told me, because I also like Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
You told me Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are in a fucking crime show together for one season, and then it skips like other people. And you didn't think I would have a little look at that.
I think I told you it hoping you would look at
Dude,
it, but
it's fucking incredible.
a lot of my recommendations you don't bother doing anything
Just
with.
as a side note, did you know there's a real possibility
That they're half brothers?
they're half brothers?
I think that's been overinflated, but
Has it?
Yeah, but I mean, if it's true,
I
it's
think
great.
Woody Harrelson's dad was fucking McConaughey's mum, or the other way around.
Oh, yeah, I think that's
Well, that's exactly how that works. Like,
Yes.
it was one or the other, wasn't it?
But Woody Harrelson's dad was a mafia hitman.
So you'd hope it was his dad, because if not, Matthew McConaughey's dad is definitely dead.
Well, Woody Harrelson's I think is dead, or he might still be in prison.
You don't fuck a mafia hitman's wife and expect to live to tell the tale.
Well, not knowingly.
No. Well, I mean, either way, you only do it once, don't you?
It depends how secretive you went about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a bit in the MCU Marvel Zombies bit which reminded me a bit of the tone of Zombieland. And it's where Captain America zombie, he's half a zombie for some reason.
Yeah.
Either like happened in a previous thing or whatever. And he's storming a base where the survivors are. Again, big difference. The Marvel Zombies thing that just came out is from the perspective of the survivors. And you don't get any of they don't have the personalities of the zombie superheroes.
So it's kind of what we both would have expected this to be.
Exactly, yeah. Probably played it a bit safer in that.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's for a wider audience and it would have cost more money, so...
Yeah, but there is a great bit where this half a Captain America is crawling by his arms, he's crawling through the vents of this base, gets in and starts fighting with Red Guardian, and there's a bit where Red Guardian throws his shield, Cap grabs it, and again, he's half a zombie, and he literally, to avoid bullet fire, encompasses himself behind the shield, and he starts rolling around. So he's like turtled up in the shield, and he's rolling, and no one can get a shot on him because he's just rolling around the room.
Full turtle. I don't have a Disney Plus subscription right now, but I just cancelled my Netflix subscription.
And you're going to be watching a lot of TV soon.
Yeah. So, like, how am I, though? Am I going to be watching a lot of TV soon, or am I just going to be staring at a baby?
I think you'll be staring at TV. Whether you'll actually be taking any of it in or not is another question.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping that I'd write a novel, but I don't see that.
You ain't doing nothing that requires brain work.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
From what I've heard from people close to me who have had children, it's just surviving.
Yeah.
It's the main thought apparently we'll have in the first kind of couple days or weeks, chances are, is going to be, I'm surprised I'm functioning this well with how little sleep I've had. Like, that's the biggest thought that you will be able to put together in that time.
That's the only thought you're able to put together.
Well, the rest of it will be like food, that kind of stuff. You'll kind of be like a zombie who hasn't had human flesh in a while.
Oh, God. Right, I mean...
That's the connection here, is bringing it back to zombies. That's what you're going to be like in a month or so.
There's going to be and it literally is a month or so at this point.
Yeah.
There's going to be a really interesting sort of day when I come back to the podcast. And like, I'm clearly a bit frazzled and I'm a bit delicate. And it's like my first episode back. And it's like, Ryan, can we just talk about something really broad and really silly? Because I don't know that I can handle anything else.
And I'm going to be like, okay, here's this series. It takes part in this universe, but it's not the main universe.
Yeah.
And this change has happened. And then these characters. So what's happened previously is this event happened. And now these characters are recovering from that. Anyway, what you need to know is...
And I will just turn around and get in my car and go home and listen to my baby cry. No, it'll be like, I just need the most generic Batman. Please just give me
I'll find you some generic Batman, don't you worry.
The most generic mid-Batman.
I liked it when he threw the Batarang.
I liked it when he was Batman.
I liked it when he punched someone and went wham.
Right, dude, I need to go home.
All right.
What the fuck are we doing?
Tune in, come back next week for more spooky stuff. We got it all month, hopefully.
Ryan, I get this but once a year.
Come back for more spooky season.
Thank you. I like it.
Thank you, bye.
I like that bit.
And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to get notified of our future episodes as well. And if you're feeling particularly generous, then please leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're using. If you'd like to get in contact with us, then send an email to comiclit@gmail.com. You can also watch videos by me on the Comic Stand YouTube page, which is linked in the description. Thank you, goodbye.